So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of The Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight I'm joined by Liam. He sings, he plays guitar on the band Tumble. They're a band from Toronto, Canada, and they play psychedelic fuzzy rock. And I have here Liam, and we're here to talk about they're putting out an EP on May 2, and it's called Lost in Light. So, Liam, how are you tonight over there in Toronto?
I'm doing well, Hector. Thank you. I'm talking with you, and then after this, I'm gonna go rock with the guys. So it's always a good night to be
Are
playing
you
with
going
the
to
guys.
are you going to play or just rehearsal?
Just rehearse. Sorry, I should have been more clear. Yeah, we're gonna rehearse tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, wow, that's dedication. I'm like, I have a show in 30 minutes, but I'm
Yeah. No show, no load in tonight. Just a nice chill rehearsal. And for
nice.
now, my interview with the chill dude on a couch.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you look pretty chill yourself,
Oh,
and
thanks.
and relaxed. So Tumble, you guys formed in 2022. Give me a little bit of the history of the band.
Yeah. So like the first Tumble show is in 2022. That's correct. So that's kind of like the genesis of the band. Me and Tarun, my bass player, we've been playing together for maybe 6 or 7 years. So we have a little more history than Tumble itself. We played in a couple bands before this project. So yeah, like it all kind of came Tumble came about just with the two of us jamming and kind of banging heads, thinking about, what we really wanted to hear with the band and everything. And then it came down to just finding a drummer. So, yeah, in 2022, we finally found the right drummer and then started playing live and quickly came to start recording some material, and we put out our first single. I think it was 2023. That was Lady Cadaver. And then, yeah, man, it's just been a train ride ever since. Like we've just been playing as much as we can and sticking with it. So yeah, I guess the genesis of the band comes from like me and Tarun and our sort of camaraderie and vision, and then we've had some different drummers along the way, and always been a just a power trio and just inspired by those kinds of bands, from the 70s, those power trios. So yeah.
I can think of one very famous from Canada, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course. Don't even need to name them.
Yeah, people will know who we're talking about. So yeah, and you know what? Sometimes, usually when a band is a trio, uh, they're usually solid. I don't know why. Like maybe it's because you can make as much noise with less people. That
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's harder to step on each other's toes, and like there's just it lives and breathes. There's room for everyone in that equation. And yeah, I mean, like with us with Tumble, it's always the ethos is in a way always been like less is more, at least for now. Maybe 5 years down the line, we just like this power trio we were alluding to, maybe we get a little more progressive or something. But like, our ethos right now is like it's like less is more, and we're just, it's always been the power trio, and we like, don't try to hide behind much effects or anything like that. Just do it in a kind of raw way. Less is more. So
And when your less is more, obviously one of the singles that you have is "The Less I Know."
that's right.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that song, "The Less I Know."
Yeah, I mean that song, um it came together like a lot of other Tumble songs. Usually just starts with a riff or an idea, and then we start feeling it out in an improvised sort of like jam setting. And like a lot of these songs just kind of feel like they write themselves. The parts kind of become apparent, and you're just trying to follow that thread. That just trying to follow. Whatever the song is trying to say, and Yeah, that song, it came together pretty effortlessly. It's just a fun bluesy rockin' song. Um, and yeah, I love it's definitely like a highlight in the set. Obviously it was our second single off of the EP, and it's one of my favorites to play. And uh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a straightforward song about sometimes the less you know, the more happy you are. You don't overthink stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like speaking off the lyricism of that song, yeah, it's the less you know, the happier you are, and so that's one angle for sure. And then it's also, the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know shit.
Yeah,
So it's kind of that sort of a play on that sort of philosophy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, and it's a fun track. So obviously, listen to your band. There's a lot of like 70s like psychedelic type of music. Like which bands like when you starting as a musician really influenced and got you into music?
Mm. Well, when I started playing guitar, I mean, well, my history as a musician, like, I mean, I started playing piano when I was 6 years old. So, and I grew up with, a lot of classics like Dylan, Stones, Beatles, and that really like kind of influenced my taste, at a young age. And then I had years where I played piano, and then eventually I found the guitar, which is, coincides with a point in my life where I started really immersing myself in music and discovering different bands and really just falling in love with the whole thing. And so it's always been like classic rock. Like I grew up with classic rock, but you know, yeah, I guess like a lot of my early influences, like I said, the Stones, the Beatles, Dylan, but there was always like certain CDs kicking around in my dad's, collection. Like I was listening to Willie Nelson and Chris Christopherson, and there was like Oscar Peterson kicking around, and just kind of like getting a taste for everything. And then when eventually when I came to start playing guitar, I got really deep into blues music. And I started on acoustic guitar, so just really getting a feel for that sort of thing, and just digging deeper and deeper into rock and all kinds of music, really. And I think one way or another, it all kind of plays its way, into the sound. Um, but yeah, like early guitar heroes, Keith Richards, Jimi Hendrix, Cream, Eric Clapton, kind of the stuff you'd probably expect. But the taste and the influence, it runs a little deeper than maybe comes through on like these Tumble songs. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And so when you guys wanted to choose a name for the band, how did you decide on Tumble?
Oh, the name?
Yeah.
Well, that's a funny story. I mean, names are the trickiest thing. I mean, finding the right name takes a long time, and there were always names kicking around, and you come with a name, you're like, ah, it's cool, but it just doesn't feel right. And so there was like a while there. Well, actually, speaking about the history of Tumble and sort of the genesis of it all, before Tumble even had a band name, we went by John Lee's Hookers, because we had a gig to play, and like the date was booked, and yeah, it was just one of those things. It's like, oh shit, we need a name. And that was the most clever thing I could have come up with, was John Lee's Hookers. I just stole someone else's name essentially. But names are hard, and it basically, I'm digressing a bit, but it took a year or two before we came to decide on the name Tumble, and it all came out of a lyric from this early 70s band from the UK called Stray. And there's just this line, something about tumbling ground, and it just caught my ear. And I was like, tumbling ground, that sounds kind of cool. And then we just like short I heard that, and then I was like, well, forget about tumbling ground. What about just tumble? Just make it even more simple. And then that's how it happened, man. And then it was like it just had that ring to it, and it felt like it suited the music, and that's it. That's the story.
Yeah, because when I think of tumble, I think of like when you say like tumbling in the weeds and stuff
Yeah,
like that. I thought maybe tumble because the music is like it's like psychedelic, so you're easing your way the listen
yeah.
to music.
I mean, it works, man. It's like it's real and it's raw and it's loose, but it's tight, and it's like it just ebbs and flows, and that's we have a real improvisational aspect to our live performance, and that's something that I was captured in the studio on this EP as well. Is like we just those solos are improvised, and we're communicating, and it feels like it's on the brink of just chaos and catastrophe sort of thing. So we're like, yeah, we're tumbling around, and it's I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
riffing, but it's yeah. It felt appropriate, the name.
yeah, and it makes sense because when I was listening to the EP, it felt like you guys are just like jamming and like you said earlier before, the songs like kind of write themselves. Like you're letting like the music dictates where it's going.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm always trying to just, let the music come from here and not here so much. As soon as I start thinking about and the songs too much or getting in my own head about it, that's usually when I feel like I hit those roadblocks. And I think everyone in the band relates to that. And so we're always just trying to play and keep it loose and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, yeah, this album, this EP, you have a like that great fuzz tone uh,
Mm.
that is really good. So I was gonna ask you, like, what gear do you like to use to get that like guitar tone?
Well, on the EP, I mean, I have to thank our co-producer, engineer, mixer, Ian Blurton, right? We did this record with him in his studio, Pro Gold. He had a lot of cool gadgets at his disposal, and I mean, my amp, like I played through a Vox and a Marshall, but Ian had like a lot of different stuff lying around, and um, you know, yeah, it was just there was a lot of different fuzz boxes floating around the room, and some Sun amps, and some old yeah, Garnet like fuzz units, and like all kinds of fun stuff that really give you a nice sonic spectrum in the studio. That and we used those tools to our advantage for sure. But when it comes to like just our live sort of tones and everything, it's pretty simple. For the most part, I'm just plugged through an 800, just a Marshall head, and I've got a fuzz face, and that's that. But we just keep it loud. We keep it loud, and you know, like my good friend said, uh, heavy heavy isn't gain. Heavy is loud. And we're not trying to be the fuzziest band. You know, we're a loud band, but all the records we love, well, a lot of the records we love have just some like they're pretty basic in the way of recording and with the gear and everything. So yeah, for the most part, it's just an amp head and a guitar. That's all we really need. Yeah.
Can you tell me a few of those records that you really love that have stuck with you over the years?
Um, Humble Pie, the live record, live at the Fillmore, that record. That's just like it doesn't get much more real or raw than that. I mean, it's a live record, but that kind of makes sense. But that's one that's always stuck with me. The first Black Sabbath record has always stuck with me. I probably listen to that record more than anything else. you know, those four guys getting in a room for 8 hours and just basically playing their live set at the time. And that, you know, it's so inspiring, you know. Yeah, those are two records that just come off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Uh,
So some good ones. So, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the EP, you know, the other track that you have that is a single is Wings of Gold.
Yes.
That was the first one. What's the story behind that one?
Story behind Wings of Gold. Well, again, just one of those songs that kind of feels like it wrote itself. Um, you know, in an instrumental sense. Um, I think it's kind of got all the elements of Tumble in it. You know, we've got uh, a hooky chorus and a big jam section at the end, and that's kind of, and it's just kind of a nice way to, yeah, just showcase what we do. I think it was an appropriate first single, and but you know, in terms of the lyricism of Wings of Gold, um, you know, there's a little bit of mythology working its way in there. You know, the story of Icarus flying too close to the sun, and this idea of greed and like, you know, too much power lending itself to um, your own demise. You know, there's just a lot of layers at play, but Wings of
Yeah.
Gold. You know, let's say flying too close to the sun.
You'll get you burned, baby.
You'll get
So,
your burn.
so I want to show the artwork of the EP that's coming out pretty soon. And you know, I may be chill on a couch, but dude, you're very chill as well.
Oh, thanks. I'm a chill guy on a chair, but
You're chilling on a chair. I'm chilling on a couch. Uh, well, but I'm not smoking while you're smoking, but I could be chiller if I was. So here's the artwork for the EP for Lost in Light. So yeah, tell me a little bit about what you guys were going for with this artwork.
yeah. Well, we were very lucky to find Hypnotist Design who put this whole thing together for us. So shout out to Thomas over in Oslo. Um, yeah, man. I mean, like we had this idea of a bird tumbling through the sky. You know, he sure as shit ain't flying. He's fallen, and he's lost in light, and he's lost his way, and you know, there's a balance, but also an underlying chaos to it, and I think it just worked. The idea worked, and then Thomas gave us this artwork that blew our minds, and as soon as we saw it, we knew we had exactly what we wanted. Um, Little psychedelic with the colors and everything. Yeah, I love it, man. You
Yeah,
should
and
see it in person. The record looks incredible, you know. It's really good.
I like the font of how you put the name because it gives it like a
Oh
very
yeah.
retro vibe.
It gives it a what vibe? Sorry.
Retro vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's a retro font, so
So it
yeah,
gives that old
it
school.
works.
It's a cool art, and it really does go with the music on hand on the record. So
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
yeah, Liam, I won't keep you much because you gotta go play with the band. Are you guys gonna have like shows soon?
yeah. I don't know when this interview will get out there, but we're gonna be on we got a whole Canadian tour, an exciting Canadian tour that's just about to be announced. We're gonna announce it next week, and then we're gonna be hitting the UK in August for the first time, traveling over the pond. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff on the horizon, man. Yeah, we're excited.
Tumbling along, like
Tumbling along,
just where the wind.
taking every moment as it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, Liam, you're a pretty chill guy yourself. So yeah, I would recommend these couchers if you like psychedelic, like fuzzy, like good old rock and roll,
Good old rock and roll.
just listen.
Fans of Black Sabbath and Blue Cheer and Blue Oyster Cult and
Yeah,
all that shit, you know.
yeah. Just an album to have fun, and not everything can be a concept record with like so record. So yeah, and you guys will be playing soon. So where can people? Is the EP going to be out in physical formats?
Yeah. So we're gonna have vinyl. We have vinyl already. So if you're in Europe, you can order your vinyl. You can pre-order it now through Stickman Records. If you're in the U.S., you can order through Ecodelic. If you're in Canada, just keep an eye and an ear out for all our shows coming up. Chances are we'll hit one of your cities. And yeah, we'll have vinyl, and we might even have some cassettes for those who are lucky. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, they're out there.
good stuff. Good stuff. So Leah, thank you for joining me all the way from Toronto to here in Puerto Rico. So Couchers tumble out May the 2nd. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector on the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.